The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Jeremy Walsh, and I'm the Director of Support, Training, and Documentation for BNI Connect. Welcome to the webinar. Today's webinar is in our 30-minute series, and this is for chapter webmasters, or how to maintain your chapter website. Now, what you may or may not know is that every chapter in BNI Connect does have a chapter page or a chapter website. What we're going to do today is show you how to access that chapter website and some of the basics. This is an introductory level course on how to go through and add pictures to your website, how to change the text on your website. And we're going to go through all those different functions. This webinar is being recorded, so it will be made available. It will be available on our YouTube channel. So if you go to youtube.com/BNI Connect Global, youtube.com/BNI Connect Global, you'll see all of our uploaded webinars up there that are for review, including previous versions of this particular webinar. The content is mostly the same, but the questions usually change at the end. You can also find this information if you go to support.bniconnect.com or click the question mark within BNI Connect in the upper right-hand corner. This will take you to support.bniconnect.com. And if you scroll down to the bottom, you'll see a webinars section, and in there you'll see month by month the recorded webinars that are there. If you have any questions during this webinar, please do raise your questions. There's a questions panel where you can type your questions in, and I monitor that throughout the webinar, so I'd be happy to answer those questions as we're going through. Or again, at the end, this is, as I said, this is a 30-minute webinar for the content, but I will open it up for questions, open questions at the end. Happy to stay here on the webinar as long as people have valid questions. So let's get started. Let's talk about chapter websites, and let's take a look at what those chapter websites look like. Now, these are publicly accessible websites. I'm going to go to our Antarctica region, not a very populated region of BNI, but we do have a couple of chapters up there. And let's take a look at one of those chapter websites. Now, how do we get to those chapter websites? Most people on the outside world will be going to find a chapter. And let's take a look at all of the chapters here within the Antarctic region. And I'm just going to grab one of these chapters here. So let's take a look at the Polar Referrals chapter, and I'm going to click on View Chapter Website. Now, this right here is basically the default for all intents and purposes. It has just some very basic text. It has the thank you for closed business numbers. It has a generic picture. It has what the member count is. It has the who the director is. If there was a leadership team for their chapter, which there is not here in Antarctica, it would show who the leadership team was. You can also click on the chapter members, and we would see all of the chapter members listed here. And there is only one member in this chapter up here, and this would be the member details page specifically. So these are the main components of the chapter website, and this is all of the things that you have access to through the CMS editor to go in and change. Now again, this is a very basic site. Let's take a look at another site. There's a chapter out there called the BNI Mill River chapter, and you can see I'm just doing a Google search for this, and they show up #1 in the Google results, and this actually is their BNI Connect site. So I'm going to click on BNI Mill River here, and you can see that they've done some customization to this particular page. On this page, you can see that they have 21 members in this chapter, where they meet, what day they meet, who the president is and their phone number, who the vice president is, who the secretary treasurer is, the director consultant, and the area director consultant. You can see that they replaced that generic picture with a map of how to get to their chapter. They changed the verbiage here of introducing you to the chapter. It has a Facebook link as well as a Twitter follow link here. And they put their chapter speakers in. So the chapter speakers actually get populated automatically from the system as long as your secretary treasurer is entering chapter speakers. Obviously their chapter members page is the same, but you can see they put some custom wording up here above. And then they have a chapter news page as well, which is they've customized the photo gallery that is associated with the chapter website to use it as a sort of blog that they can keep track of, members and events and other things that are going on that they'd like to talk about from their chapter. And again, this thank you for closed business number, this does automatically populate from the system based on your POMS reports for the previous 12 complete months. We do have a question right now from Vitaly Petrenko. He says, is it a proprietary CMS or one of the known ones? It's a CMS plugin. We'll get to that in just a second. That being said, there is the source code available. So if you are a web designer or a web programmer, if you would like to create it in your own web system, and you can copy and paste the source code right into the source code of the chapter site. And I'll show you that in just a couple of seconds. So hopefully that answers your question, Vitaly. Okay, so how do we get to this now? How do we get to the chapter websites in order to edit them? Well, the first thing you need to do is to sign into BNI Connect. So I'm logged into BNI Connect here. And where we're going to go to is you first need to be assigned as a chapter webmaster. Now, for that to happen, you do need to talk to your director consultant, or you need to talk to your executive director or your regional office in your particular region, and they can make the assignment of chapter webmaster. Once they have given you the chapter webmaster role, you will then see this tools function available. Under tools, you will see CMS. And again, if you're a regional webmaster, I know we have a couple of regional people on the call with us today, you will see region websites. If you are just a chapter webmaster, you'll just see the chapter websites. I'm going to click on chapter websites. Now I'm going to switch back to Antarctica here, and let's take a look at our Shiver region up there in Antarctica. So what you'll see here, if you only have access to one chapter, let's say, you would only see one chapter listed here. If you are a chapter webmaster or a regional webmaster, you have chapter webmaster of multiple chapters within a region, which is entirely possible, you would see more chapters listed here. All you need to do is you'll see that they show you the link to the chapter page here, show you the name of the chapter, who the creator was, and when it was last modified. You can click on any of these links, let's say the frozen referrals links, and it'll open up in a new tab and it'll bring me to that particular chapter. Or more than likely, you're going to click on this edit button here. So if I'd like to go in and edit the frozen referrals chapter page, I'm going to click on this edit link over to the right. Okay, so this is the basic, the front end of the CMS editor. And what we're looking at now is all of the pages that are accessible for us to edit. So you can see we have the home page, we have the chapter members page. These are the sub pages of the chapter members page, the member details page, the chapter details page, the send message page. Then there's also an optional page called the gallery. So going back to one of our websites now, down here at the bottom, you'll see that there's a preview URL and a live URL. For those of you that are unfamiliar with web design or web programming, what happens is when you're working on your website, on your chapter page, you're actually working on a copy of it. So all the changes that you're making, all the things that you're editing and uploading, those won't be available to the public. It's a back-end copy. That's called the preview site, and that's what this is a link to. So it's a special site. You do have access to it so you can see the changes as you're making them. The rest of the world that goes to the page sees the live site. Now, when you're ready, it's exactly the way you want it to be. You click the publish button, and what happens is all of the changes that you made, this preview site overwrites the live site so that now, for a while anyway, they're the same. And then the rest of the world will see what you've been working on. So looking at our live site again, the home page this is the home page. So these are all the things that you can change on the home page, is all of this stuff in the main section here. All the things on the left here are pulled automatically from the system, so we don't have access to change that. This chapter members page and the sub pages, again, that is this chapter members page. So this is the main page. This would be the member sub-page. And then if this member had it available, there would be a send message button here that would show you the send message sub-page. And finally, we have the gallery. Now the gallery, it's not here. That's because this is an optional page. So rather than have an enabled, it's designed to be a photo sharing gallery for chapter pictures and things like that. But if it's empty or hidden, it won't show up. This is one of those pages that you can choose to show, and then you'll see the gallery there. We'll get back to that in just a few minutes. So let's take a look at these other tabs here. Now the second tab is the library tab. Now pictures on the website, for example, let's go back to the home page here. This picture, in order to get the picture onto the site, we have to get it into the library first, and then we can attach it to the website. So there's a little bit of pre-work that you have to do before you jump right into editing your website, and that is to upload all the pictures that you would like to use on the site into the library. And that's what this tab is for, the library tab. You can put 3 different types of files up there. You can put image files, which are JPEGs or PNGs or GIF files. You can also put documents up there if you'd like to share a document, such as a Word file, a PDF file, or an Excel spreadsheet. And you can also put Flash objects up there. The way to get the files up there is to click on the appropriate type and click the Upload button. Now once I click the Upload button, it'll bring me to the Upload screen. I click the magnifying glass to go and search for the file that I'd like to put into my library to make available later. Now just because you put them in the library doesn't mean you have to use them right away, but you do need to get them there first. So let me just go see if I can find a couple of pictures here. And let me grab a picture to upload to that site. Let me grab a different folder here. So here's some pictures. If I want to say, let's get this BNI logo up to the site, I would click that. It says it's ready to upload here, and click Upload. It will upload that into the site, and now you'll see that my pictures library has an image in it. If I'd like to upload another one, I just click Upload. Now I can have as many pictures as I'd like up there in our pictures library. I don't have to use them right away. They can all just be there ready and waiting for me when I do wish to use them. So you can see I have a couple of images now that I've uploaded, and they will be available for me when I go into the editing portion. If you'd like to remove files, just put a check mark in the file and click the Delete button. Okay, let's take a look at this next tab here. This is the Site Information tab. A couple of things you should know about the Site Information tab. This first thing is going to tell you what your domain name is. Now, it's always going to be your regional domain. So AntarcticReferrals.com, that's our Antarctica's regional domain. And then this is your chapters subpage of that domain. By default, it is going to create a name of the name of the region, which in our case, this is the Shiver region, and then the name of the chapter. Now, that could be kind of a mouthful. So, for example, if I was to go and tell somebody, oh yeah, just go check out our chapter webpage. It's antarcticreferrals.com/shiver-region-frozen-referrals. Kind of a big long name to say. You can edit the chapter name. So Antarctic Referrals would stay the same, but I could say change this to, Frozen Referrals. So that's a little bit easier to tell people to go to, antarcticreferrals.com/frozen referrals. The next thing that's on here is the site tagline. Now we can't change that. That's what shows up here in the header on all of the pages. So that is a constant. We do not have the ability to change the tagline. But we do have the access to change the button names. Now, before you go and change the button names, please go talk to your executive director or your chapter director consultant. They may have specific branding requirements, and one of the great things about these sites is that the chapter websites have consistency between all of the chapter websites. This is one of those levels of consistency. Just to show you, these are the three buttons that we're talking about: regional websites, BNI International, and members only. But again, let's say that you wanted to change this to BNI.com instead of BNI International. We do have the ability to do that. Finally, we have the analytics code. So if you want to track the traffic to your website, you can do so. You do need to set up an analytics code separately, or again, check with your regional office. They may have a, for example, Google Analytics already set up for the region. You would just need to copy and paste that code into this particular box. Once you've made all the changes that you'd like to make on there, click Update. This will take anywhere from a couple of seconds to a minute to save the changes, and then it'll bring us back. So while we're waiting for that to finish saving, one thing that it's doing in the background right now is that it is going through all of these pages and changing the link. So before we had shiver-region-frozen referrals, and one thing it's doing is going through the pages and making sure that it's now frozen referrals. Okay, it usually goes a little quicker than this, so I'm not sure why it's still publishing, and there we go. All right, so we're back at our pages screen. So we'll notice that down here, our preview site now just says frozen referrals, and our live URL also says frozen referrals. Now, until we publish, the old website is still active, so people going out on the internet would still go here. But let's go ahead and publish this change so that it picks up the new button name as well as the new domain, the new URL for this particular chapter name. Okay, that published a lot quicker that time. Now I should be able to click on this URL. And it will bring us now, we can see that it is frozen referrals and then the other change that we made up here, BNI.com. All right, so what are some of the other things here? So going back to this Pages tab, some of the pages have the ability to change the name. So for example, if we didn't want this here to say home page, we wanted it to say something else, we could edit the name of that page. So perhaps we wanted this to say, come visit our chapter. We could do that. Click Submit. It will save that. And if we look at our preview site, we'll see that our home page has now changed to our Come Visit Our Chapter page. The meta tags, it's a little bit more of an advanced thing, but please talk to your search engine optimization person in your chapter. If you don't have one, you might want to invite one. But this will help you get found in the Google searches. So these are the things that Google is looking for, Yahoo, Bing, all of those search engines. They're looking for keywords and descriptions and meta tags for your site. So take some time to, if you already know what you're doing, go ahead and put the meta tags in. If not, do talk to a web designer or a search engine optimization person for some help with the keywords and meta tags here. The final thing that we're going to do is the edit content, and this is really the meat and potatoes of what we're going to do in the website. Now I'm going to click on Edit Content of the page that I would like to work on. So most of the time we're going to be working on our home page or our Come Visit Our Chapter page. So I'm going to click on Edit Content. and this will open up in a new window. If you hit edit content and nothing happens, you may want to check up to make sure there isn't a pop-up blocker that's running on your system. Make sure you turn off your pop-up blocker. A couple of things on this page of interest. We have the yellow bar along the top here, and this is your library images selection, whether you would like to see a preview of what you've done, a save button, and a close button. Now, remember how we loaded some photos up into the library earlier? There are actually two libraries. Right now we're using the library. This is our personal library, so it's going to have the photos that I uploaded. There is also a common library that if we click this button, it's a toggle. It will switch us over to the common library. That has images such as this one here that's on the page already. BNI branded images that we've made available for all users of the system. I'm going to stick with our library for now, though. Now, what you can actually edit is all of the stuff in this section here, underneath where these CMS editing tools are. We're going to go through and kind of see what a lot of these buttons do. Now, to go back, Vitaly, to what your question was before, the first button that we have here is the source button. Now, for those of you that are a little bit more advanced in web programming, the source button is going to be well known to you. What this will do is it will bring up all the HTML coding for the site that you can directly edit, or you can use another editor and copy and paste the content right into the source code. For those of you that are new at this, this is also a great way to back up your site. If you're going in for the first time, you're going to be making a bunch of changes, may not know exactly what you're doing, a great idea is to click this source button, and this is just all text. Hit Control A on your keyboard or right-click and choose Select All. Now right-click and choose Copy or hit Control C on your keyboard. What I'm going to do here is to take this site and I'm going to open up Notepad and paste this source code into Notepad and put it aside for a while. I'm going to actually go ahead and save that. If I completely mess up this site, which I'm about to do, I can go back and revert it to the original site later. All right, let's quickly go through what some of these buttons are. Now, most of these buttons, if you've ever used Microsoft Word, are going to be exactly what the function is on any of those. We have a template button if you would like to change the layout of the site as opposed to having the image on the right. You could put the image on the left. You could not have any images. You could put a table within. These set of buttons here are all typical Word buttons: undo, redo, cut, copy, paste. The next two, paste as plain text and paste from Word, those are pretty handy if you're copying and pasting text from another source. The reason that we would want to use these is, let's say that you are grabbing text off of another website. When you put it into this WYSIWYG editor, what you see is what you get. It will attempt to replicate what was on the other site. So that means the fonts and the size and the color and the shape. All of those options may or may not be available. Perhaps they were using a really funky font that isn't preloaded here. What's better to do is to just grab the text that you were looking to bring over, and that's really what paste from plain text and paste from Word is. It allows you to strip out some of those settings and just put the text in that we're looking for. So the next ones are find and replace, typical functions in a document. If you're looking to find a bunch of words on the site, or let's say that you accidentally spelled BNI as BIN and you wanted to replace that with BNI throughout the document, you could do that with the find and replace. Select all, just selects everything. And remove formatting. Remove formatting is good if you need to bring everything back to default. So let's say, for example, I had changed the font, I changed the size of all this stuff, I changed the colors, and I need to just get this text back to its default without having to retype it all in. I can do that by clicking on Remove Format. That will strip it back down to the base size, the base color, the base font. This next group of buttons here, you're you will need slightly more advanced programming in order to use them. Now, it's really for creating forms or data collection. So let's say you wanted to put something on here that said, interested in visiting our chapter, please fill out this form. And you can create a form on the site, by using the form options. You can add checkboxes. You can add radio buttons. You can add input text where they can type in the box. You can add a text area so that it gives them a little bit more space to type in a box. You could do drop-down selections with texts and values, as well as buttons. There's hidden fields that are available as well. Now, once you create the form, you do have to do some programming to make the form do stuff. We're not going to cover that in today's webinar. That's, again, talk to your regional webmaster or web designer. They can help you with some of the background that would be necessary to create a usable form on the site, but the functionality is there. Now, the Maximize button next, it's not very helpful when we're in this WYSIWYG editor because it kind of distorts everything outside of what it's going to look like, but that is very helpful on the source code. So if you are using the source code, there is the Maximize button available, which allows you to see a little bit more on the screen. To get back out of it, click the Maximize button again. The next couple show blocks. This helps when you're aligning your paragraphs. So to make sure you have your paragraph and your spacing and your line breaks proper. Subscript and superscript, if you're doing something like, we meet on the second day of the month and you need to superscript the second, that is what this button is helpful for. The rest of these, bold, italic, underline, numbering, this is all very traditional Word options. There's also a strike-through option, the ability to do numbered lists, and bulleted lists. Increasing and decreasing the indents, you can do that. And you can also put things in block quotes. We have center, left, and right justifications, as well as full justifications. From a web perspective, here's the first couple of sections that may be unique to people unfamiliar with web design. The first button here is whenever you want somebody to be able to click on words within your website and go to some other website, that's what this link button is for. Now, let's say that you wanted people to be able to go to BNI.com whenever they clicked on the word BNI. What we would do is highlight the word BNI and then click on the link button. We just need to put in the website we'd like them to go to, www.bni.com, and click OK. Now, every time they click on BNI within that website, it will bring them to the BNI website. Similar function is you can do something like email me and link that so that it opens up a new message. To do that, I'd click on the link button again, but change the link type to email. What email address would you like that to go to? You can put in a default message subject and message body, and then when people clicked on email me, it would open up a new message. The next thing you may want to do is start adding pictures to your site. And this is where it's important to make sure that they're in your library first. We would click on the image button and then click Browse Server. This is going to open up a new window, and we'll see that it has some stock photography, but we can see that it has the BNI logo that I uploaded earlier that we can then put into our website, as well as this header that I put in here earlier as well. Just click on the file. I can choose what I want the size to be. So if I wanted to maybe make that smaller, I wanted it to only be 50. It'll keep the aspect ratio the same for you. And now I have this image on my website. Now you can also do things so that if they click on the image, it brings them to a website. And to do that, you would just click the link button when you have the picture highlighted. So now when somebody clicks on this picture, it will bring them to BNI.com. The same is true for Flash objects and documents, which I don't have any in there right now. For organizational purposes, setting up a table, you can set up tables within your site as well, which helps to keep data nice and organized on the screen. And if you're looking for those pesky symbols like the copyright symbol and things like that, you can click on the Insert Special Character button if you need things like copyright or registered trademark. Of course, we have different styles, different fonts, although I highly recommend that you leave the font as Arial. That is the branded font for BNI. We have size, abilities, background colors, and text colors. Once you have made all the changes you'd like to make, you can click the Save button. It'll give you a quick preview. This is what our site looks like now. And when you're sure, click Close. Now our preview site will be showing this already. But if we want that to be shown on our live site, we now have to click Publish. So the site was now successfully published, so we should be able to go to our live site. And anybody that goes to antarcticreferrals.com/frozen referrals would now see our lovely new chapter website. So we are at the bottom of the hour. For those of you that do need to leave right away, I would like to thank everybody for being here today. Please do remember that this will be available on youtube.com/BNI Connect Global. You can also find it by clicking on the question mark in BNI Connect and going to support.bniconnect.com. At this point, I do want to open it up to any questions. So if you have any questions at all, I would be happy to stay on this call as long as necessary to get through any questions you have. Vitaly says, how do you add a page? And unfortunately, the websites right now are there's only the pages that are here. So the home page, the chapter members page, and the optional gallery page. So the gallery page, on the other hand, is hidden. And that's the one page that you can show into the site and use it for another purpose. So, for example, I'm going to click the Show button here. Are you sure you want to show the page? And click Submit. And now we will have our gallery page enabled for editing. And here's where you can customize this page to your needs. And you'll notice that a new button showed up here called the Gallery. And this is where we can add photo albums, and you can really turn this into almost like a blog or other things with this chapter page. But other than that, we're limited to the pages that are available here. Vitaly says, can you please show the button to switch between public and personal libraries? Absolutely. So let's go back into the edit page for our Come Visit Our Chapter button. Or possibly even, let's go to our chapter members page and edit content. Now you'll notice on this page there's a little bit less that we can edit on this page. Basically we can edit the header and we can edit the footer. But let's say that we wanted to put a picture of our chapter members in here. This button here at the top is where we'd switch between our personal library and the public library. So let's say I'd like to use one of the BNI branded images. I'm going to click on Using Library Images, and it says, do you want to save before you switch libraries? I don't need to save, so I'm going to click Cancel to just continue. And you'll see that this button now changed to Using Common Library. So now if I wanted to add a picture, let's say, into here, and I click Browse Server, you'll see that we have the BNI branded images in here. So if I wanted to, let's say up at the top of this page, I wanted to add a picture that showed some business people standing, and click OK. Now I'm going to save this and close it. Let me go ahead and publish this site. Now if I go to our site again, and I go to our chapter members page, what we'll see is our list of chapter members and this graphic that's up at the top. So that might be a good opportunity to put maybe a chapter photo of all the members of your chapter, or something else to make this particular page pop out. Does that help, Vitaly? All right, what other questions do we have? And you're very welcome. Do we have any other questions? Be happy to answer those questions. Okay, if we don't have any additional questions, I would like to thank everybody for being here today. Just a reminder, this was recorded, going to be on youtube.com/BNI Connect Global. Please also do, if you could, join us on our Facebook page, facebook.com/BNI Connect Global. We do webinar announcements, we do tips and tricks and reminders and all sorts of things up here on our Facebook page as well. You can also feel free to connect with me in BNI Connect. Click on the magnifying glass, do a search for me, Jeremy Walsh, Jeremy Walsh. I would love to connect with you, and you have any questions, please do contact us here at support@bniconnect.com. We're happy to help in any way that we can. Have a wonderful day, everyone, and happy connecting. Thank you.